What would you do if your fiancé left you for someone else and you ended up living with that someone else's ex? Sounds messy, right? Now imagine that situation turning into the most unexpected love story. Today we're diving into Funny Story by Emily Henry, a romance that starts with heartbreak but slowly transforms into something real, messy, and surprisingly beautiful. If you love fake dating, emotional healing, awkward tension, and characters who feel like real people, this story is going to pull you in from the very first moment. Because this is not just about love. It's about what happens after everything falls apart, and how sometimes the worst situations create the best connections. The story begins with a life that looks perfect on the outside. Daphne has everything planned: a stable relationship, a future that feels secure, a life that makes sense. Until suddenly, it doesn't. Because her fiancé leaves her. Not just leaves her, but leaves her for someone else. And just like that, everything she built disappears. The plans, the comfort, the identity she had created. And now she's left with one question. What do you do when your entire life changes overnight? Now here's where things get interesting. Because the person her fiancé left her for also left someone behind. Miles. And somehow Daphne ends up living with him. Yes, living with her ex-fiancé's new girlfriend's ex. If that sounds complicated, that's because it is. At first, it's just practical. They both need a place to stay. They both need time to figure things out. They both need distance from the chaos. So they agree to live together. No drama, no complications. Just two people trying to survive a situation they never asked for. But here's the question. Can two people connected by heartbreak really stay just roommates? Let's talk about Daphne, because she is one of the most relatable characters you'll meet. She is organized, careful, someone who likes control. She built her life step by step, and when everything falls apart, she doesn't know who she is anymore. She's not dramatic, she's not loud, but inside, she's struggling, trying to understand what went wrong, trying to rebuild something stable, trying to feel like herself again. And then there's Miles. He's the opposite. Relaxed, messy, unpredictable. He doesn't seem as affected, at least not on the surface. But that doesn't mean he isn't hurting. He just handles it differently. He jokes, he avoids, he moves forward without looking too closely at the past. And that contrast between them, at some point, they come up with an idea, a plan. What if they pretend to be together? Not for love, not for real feelings, but to deal with the situation. To show their exes they're fine, to take control of the narrative, to feel less broken. It sounds simple, it sounds harmless, but we all know how this goes, because pretending never stays pretend. At first, it's small things, holding hands, showing up together, playing the role. But then, something shifts, because the more they pretend, the more real it starts to feel. And that's where everything becomes complicated. This is not instant attraction. This is not love at first sight. This is slow, awkward, sometimes uncomfortable, but deeply real. Because their connection doesn't come from perfection. It comes from understanding, from shared pain, from knowing what it feels like to be left behind. They see each other in a way others don't. They understand the silence, the hesitation, the unspoken thoughts, and slowly, they become safe for each other. Not just as roommates, not just as partners in a fake relationship, but as people who genuinely care. And that's where things start to change. This story explores something very honest. What happens after heartbreak? Not the dramatic version, not the movie version, but the real one, where healing is slow, where confusion stays longer than expected, where you question everything. Daphne has to rebuild herself, not as someone's partner, but as her own person. And that's not easy, because when your identity is connected to someone else, losing them feels like losing yourself. And Miles, he has to face his own truth, to stop hiding behind humor, to acknowledge his feelings, to be honest about what he wants. And together, they create something that feels real. As the connection grows, so does the fear. Because this isn't just about new love, it's about trust. And trust is hard after betrayal. They start asking themselves, is this real? Or just a reaction to what happened? Are we actually falling for each other? Or just trying to fix something broken? And that doubt creates tension because both of them want something, but they're not sure if they should. There comes a moment where pretending is no longer enough, where feelings are clear, where the truth can't be ignored, and they have to decide. Do they risk it? Do they take a chance on something real? Or do they walk away before it becomes too painful? And that moment is what makes this story unforgettable. What makes funny stories stand out is how real it feels. The emotions are not exaggerated, the situations are messy, the characters are flawed, but that's exactly why it works, because it feels like something that could actually happen, and that makes every moment more powerful, more relatable, more meaningful. So let me ask you, do you love fake dating stories that actually feel realistic? Do you enjoy slow burn romance built on emotional connection? Do you want a story that mixes humor, heartbreak, and healing? Then Funny Story is exactly what you're looking for. It's messy, it's emotional, and it's beautifully real. You can find Funny Story by Emily Henry on Amazon using the affiliate link in the description below. It's the perfect cozy read to curl up with this week. And tell me in the comments, would you ever fake a relationship and risk it becoming real?